Good afternoon, everyone. Whoa, how wonderful to have you all here. You may not know it unless you're a regular attendee, but on Sunday mornings it doesn't look quite like this. Thank you all for being here. Oh, and welcome. Welcome to this circle of belonging where we come to seek and to share the love of God that flows through all of us and through everything as living water. Wonderful to be with you. We begin by acknowledging that our church is built on the traditional homeland of the Nipmuc and Pecumtuck peoples. We recognize and we mourn the tragedies of our shared history that began over 400 years ago now with the landing of the Pilgrims, our spiritual ancestors in this congregational church. And we do this acknowledgement in the spirit of repair and reconciliation in our ongoing relationship with our Indigenous brothers and sisters in hopes that we might do more. My name is Lee Barstow. I am a member of this congregation and also its pastor. In the Congregational Church, every member is considered a minister. My role is to go out and investigate the wilds of a faith journey from the home base of our tradition, and then to return to share my findings. In bringing us together for this day, which I hope prompts some findings for all of us, I want to thank the rest of our team, without whom this wouldn't have been possible. Susan Altabet and Stephen Dido, who will be here to play music in a little bit. Where are you guys? Susan and Stephen. Okay, well, you don't want to be known, but you're over here. Sister Claire from the Peace Pagoda, thank you so much. And Peter Blood from Mount Toby Friends Meeting, and also the Interfaith Opportunities Network, which has done wonderful work over many years to help bring the spirit of interfaith understanding to the Valley. And this is probably a good time for a shameless plug for our interfaith clergy group in Amherst, which organizes the Thanksgiving Interfaith Service, which will be held again this year on the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. So keep an eye out for that service, and please join us. A housekeeping note, there are bathrooms in the Dixon House behind the church and in the town hall across the street. Also, we have asked each faith community to keep their contribution to 7 minutes. There's 10 of us, 11 actually now. And I urge us to all be mindful of the time, getting back and forth to the podium and not taking terribly long. I mean, you got to do what you got to do. And we are all here amidst really sacred chaos. Anyway, the way this event has come together. But thank you for that. And I really hope that I don't have to use my shepherd's crook when the time comes. All are welcome after the service to the town hall across the street for fellowship and for goodies. Finally, I just want to mention that I've been fighting bronchitis. That's why I got this here in case I'm coughing. And if I go into a coughing fit or something like that, I may have to turn this over to Peter Blood, who may just jump up and help me out here anyway. So, whether it is in the sounds or the silence, whether it is in the words we hear or the fellowship we share, we come together to know all of God's gifts. It's with great joy that I welcome you all here today from so many faith traditions. Because one of the findings of that research I mentioned is that beyond any of our differences, we are all devoted to the same holy truth. To begin with, as human beings, we all want to be happy. We want to be useful. We want to know truth and to serve it. The ways we seek these goals can look very different on the outside. We have different names for things and different prayers and even different beliefs. And yet, deep within us, in our soul, we seek the same essence. One name for this is what Jesus of Nazareth called the kingdom of heaven, where we find love and peace and courage and wisdom and devotion to right living and every other blessing that is our human birthright. As our Buddhist siblings say, we are all fingers pointing to the same moon. I've heard warnings to avoid building an interfaith understanding as if one were at a salad bar. And I agree with that. We must celebrate our own traditions and work hard to mine their deep treasures rather than superficial tastings of trite maxims. And yet, I also believe that when we are willing to imagine that truth also lives in each other's traditions, we can open our hearts and souls to the divine mystery in which we all live and move and have our being. That divine life we are made of, too complex for our brains to hold, but available as experience. It's not easy to hold to the experience of our oneness. Our failures to do this are heartbreaking. We have desperate need today to recognize our unity in the ground of our being, to know we are loved, and so to love. In 1774, the town and the church were one entity, and only male members of the church had the right to vote in the annual meeting, which is still held today, although in 2 different places. We've come a long way since then. Just look at a part of our town's rich spiritual diversity feeding us in the ways we find most helpful. By the way, a historical note, the names on the pews were put there for our 250th anniversary because they were the names that were most recently on the pews when people bought the pews as their way of tithing. I think the most expensive ones were in the back. And so as this service progresses, I hope we can all think less about how different our various forms might seem and look instead beyond those differences for what we share. All of us here are devoted to the truth that we have found to serve our own evolution and that can best serve our neighbors and the world. Amen. We will begin with Sister Claire and others from the Peace Pagoda who work so tirelessly day after day and year after year to lead us all in deepest devotion on our shared path to peace and unity.